Live from the NJ.com studio comes the only weekly TV podcast you'll need, where a lofty critic squares off with an obsessed superfan on everything from highbrow drama to lowbrow reality. The cocktail shaker is ready. Prepare for your TV hangover. Now, your hosts, Vicki Hyman and Erin Medley.
Hello and welcome to TV Hangover. I am one of your hosts, Erin Medley, alongside the lovely, the talented, the Real Housewives of New Jersey obsessed Vicki Hyman.
Well, I'll take talented and Real Housewives, but everybody who, because we're videotaping us, can see how unlovely I am.
Oh, untrue, untrue. Vicki likes to put herself down for no good reason because she's awesome. On today's show, which is episode 30. Wow. Not any of our ages, by the way. No. We are going to talk about a few things. Oh, producer Alyssa wants us to know that's her age.
Really?
So, good for her.
Wow. No, I'm surprised that you were that old.
Yeah. Oh.
I thought you were younger.
Compliments all around. We are going to talk about Game of Silence, which premiered last night on NBC.
Yes.
Many thoughts. We're going to talk about The Walking Dead, and we're going to talk about the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt and other shows that would probably be better if they were not on a broadcast network. And then we can't forget the lovely Randy in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Randy gave us the idea to talk about how did that get made? Like shows that just...
I got one.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have any.
Really?
Yes.
But you didn't do your homework.
I know. I'm a last minute person. Now, for those of you who are watching us live right now on Facebook, this is the TV Hangover podcast where Vicki is the critic and I am the TV fan, and we basically just talk about TV for 45 minutes.
And argue.
Vicki
argues. And Erin just...
And I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah.
So follow us on Twitter if you're interested at TV Hangover Show. I'm at E_meds. Vicki is at Vicki High, VICKIHY. And you can email us if you have any questions or show ideas. TV Hangover Show at NJ.com. All right, Vicki. So... you were just telling me a really interesting story about your son Theo.
No, I don't want. No, absolutely not.
Is it because we're live streaming?
No, I just know.
You don't want to bring it up.
It was a personal thing. It was a personal thing.
Fine. Vicki doesn't want to talk about her personal thing that I find very amusing with her son. But what do you want to discuss? What's going on in your TV life this week? Have you broken up with any shows lately?
I have not broken up with any shows lately. I am actually, I'm very angry at the creators of Catastrophe on Amazon, who only do 6 episodes at a time. And so, of course, I burned through the second season, which debuted last Friday, in I think one night.
You did?
Yes, I did. They're like 25 minutes each.
Right. I tried doing season 1.
It's so good.
I only made it to episode 2.
It's so good. You have to keep watching.
It's fine.
It's amazingly raunchy, but still incredibly heartwarming. I don't know how they do it.
It is.
They're miracle workers.
It is very raunchy. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of sexy time.
And it continues even though they have 2 kids in the second season.
Wait, how did they have 2 kids?
They did a time jump.
Oh, and you like the time jump?
Yeah, I have no problem with the time jump. It wasn't that. I mean, it was like 3 years maybe.
You know, my most recent time jump reference, like where it was significant, is One Tree Hill.
Okay, so it's still on?
No.
Okay.
It's not on. Not on at all.
Okay.
All right, so let's get to some news of the week. There's some renewal news. Mm-hmm. New Girl, renewed for season 6, but why?
I don't know. I haven't watched it in like 3 seasons.
I've never watched it.
Oh, really? I mean, it had its charm in the beginning. I think all the actors individually are nice. They're. I think they've all got a lot of talent, but it's like the premise isn't going anywhere.
Right. And I'm surprised it was renewed. Like a lot of people love the Mindy Kaling show, and that was canceled and then moved over to Hulu.
It moved over to Hulu, and actually I'm talking about not going anywhere. That actually really went somewhere very recently, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody.
Okay. Well, we're not going to. No spoilers here.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, okay. No. So that was renewed. And then also in some other renewal news, Bravo's first original scripted series, Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce, was renewed for 3 more seasons.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Good going, Lisa Edelstein.
Like, when does that ever happen? Did you ever watch that show?
I did. I watched the beginning. I probably watched like 4 or 5 episodes, and I enjoyed it. I mean, it felt like it was a little bit like a scripted Real Housewives of New Jersey. No, Real Housewives of New York, I guess, or Los Angeles.
True.
But I really liked it. I enjoyed it.
I watched a couple. I wasn't in. I do like Paul
Edelstein.
Who I'm so excited to find this out this week. Married to
I
Bonnie.
know.
On How to Get Away with Murder.
Liza Weil.
Yes. I didn't know.
I actually found that out too because
Because now they're getting a divorce. I mean, divorce is not funny.
And they were together for like 10 years or something.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
but
a
now,
nice couple.
But now it makes sense because Paul Edelstein was on Private Practice, which was a Shonda show.
Yes.
And then Liza
Weil
is now on How to Get Away with Murder, which is also a Shondaland show.
And she was also on Scandal, remember?
No.
Yes, she was the very first season. She was the one who had the affair with the president. That everybody was trying to. That was her.
Wait, did she get murdered or something?
I think she might have. Most people do on that show. I do.
True. I really wish you were watching Scandal still because it's out of control.
It's always been out of control. And that's why I stopped watching it.
It's off the rails. So let's talk about now. Last week, Randy from Pittsburgh. Hey, Randy, if you're watching. He suggested that we talk about how did this show get made? Like basically a show that was on the air where it's like, how did anyone at the network let this get on the air? I know that you have one.
I do.
So I'm going to put the pressure on you because I didn't do my homework this week.
Well, you're going to be disappointed because you're going to be like, that's the one you picked? I was thinking about shows in the last year.
Okay.
And I was thinking about a lot of shows that I find very, very questionable, but I can see why they got made. And so if you're looking at something like Rosewood, you have the miraculously charismatic Morris Chestnut. Angel from Hell had Jane Lynch, already canceled. Yeah. Had Jane Lynch, but comic titan Ken Jeong from Dr. Ken. They could have they're based on a very famous or beloved franchise, Minority Report. Okay, let's try that out. Rush Hour, let's try that out. Okay, so the show that I picked, I could not figure out anything. There were no stars involved. Okay, right. You're not even going to know what I'm talking about.
Are you sure?
Probably.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Foxes, not Lucifer, because that's based on a beloved property. Which one is it?
No,
it's a Fox show from this past season.
Minority Report?
No.
Oh, the one with Ed Westwick?
No, and I can actually see why that got made too.
The one where the guy dies at an old age?
Yes! Second Chance, which was previously called Looking Glass, which was previously called Frankenstein Code. I mean, does anybody remember the show? It's about an old, ornery, possibly corrupt sheriff whose son gets involved in. His son is an FBI agent.
Tim DeKay,
who we like.
New Jersey. Really? He went to Rutgers.
Okay, can I just say I love him all the way back from Carnival on HBO.
I love him when he was on White Collar. On USA.
Okay, so we love Tim DeKay. He's the only good thing about this show. So anyway, his father is a rascally old sheriff who sticks his nose into Tim DeKay's FBI business and discovers something that causes the meanies to kill the old sheriff, but he gets rescued by these Indian American scientists, one of whom maybe has autism and only speaks through his sister, and they manage to regenerate him into the hot body of the guy who played a vampire on True Blood.
There's so many layers to the show, and none of them make sense.
It doesn't make sense. It's not funny. It's not interesting. It's
barely dramatic.
Putrid. It was putrid, and I believe it is
how many episodes
already been
did you
canceled.
watch?
I think I watched one. Maybe I watched two. I don't know.
I think that I watched half of one, and then I was out.
Yeah,
I was out.
Okay. I don't mind a modern day Frankenstein, but that's not what this was.
No, yeah, I agree. I have a hard time thinking back on this season because I feel like, don't you feel like this season a lot of shows debuted and then they were canceled with like little fanfare?
Well, I actually remember like it was actually a really long time before any shows were canceled, but they've been premiering so late over such a long period of time. But yeah, I mean, there's only been a few shows that have actually been like, flat out canceled.
Right. Yeah. So I can't even think of a show this season where I'm like, why did that get made? I mean, I think there were some shows that were pretty terrible this season, but like you
can
said,
see why it got made.
Why I can see like Minority Report. I can see why they made Minority Report. It was a really popular movie. Like how long ago? 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it had Wilmer Valderrama and the actress whose name I can't remember right now.
Either.
Sorry.
But Megan Good.
Yes,
Megan Good.
Megan Good. And it had a hot guy on it that I mentioned multiple times that I can't remember who that was. Nick Zano was on it.
New Jersey
guy.
Yes.
We like to bring the Jersey here.
Nutley, I believe.
Yes, Nutley. Used to live there. Okay. But it was just not a good show. And then another show where I guess I would say, how did this get made? And it sort of goes into our other topic today is Crazy Ex-Girlfriends.
Oh, that's so funny because that was actually on my list to talk about.
Shows that would be better if it wasn't on broadcast network?
No. I think it is great where it is, but like, how did that get made in the sense that this is so risky and interesting and crazy? How did this land? How did this actually get made? But in a good way.
I know why it got made. Because it was originally intended for Showtime.
Yes. Yeah.
So
but why would they bring it over? Because it's probably it did get renewed. It did get renewed.
Did?
Yes, it got renewed.
Another season talking about Josh Chan.
Yeah, hopefully they will evolve a little bit.
But
that is actually a show I had on my list as something like, I don't know how this got made, but in a good way.
All right, fine. Let's talk about a show that premiered yesterday, or what was that, Tuesday night?
It premiered Tuesday, although its regular time slot is Thursdays.
After the Blacklist, or before the Blacklist.
I don't know.
One of those, surrounding the
it.
Blacklist. And that show is Game of Silence. This is a show that has 4 male leads. Spoiler alert. If you haven't watched Game of Silence, here's where you want to turn down the volume. There were 4 male leads, and then one got offed in the premiere.
Yes.
So you're not going to watch it after Vicki and I talk about it anyway. So it has 4 male leads. They were basically friends growing up in a Texas town. One day, they stole the car of their girlfriend.
Whose drunken mother was going to drive her somewhere.
Right. They stole the car, and while they're joyriding at like 13, 12, they hit another car. The woman in the other car was badly injured, but she didn't die. However, they all got sentenced to 9 months in the worst juvie facility in the country? In Texas? I don't know. But basically, they fast forward 25 years. Now, one of the kids, the main character played by David Lyons, is a lawyer. 2 of the guys, including his brother, are kind of like, the one guy's his brother.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't get that.
I know. Subtly. They didn't really hammer that home.
Really?
Yes.
Is it Michael Raymond James?
It's the
one.
one.
The other guy's black.
Which means nothing.
Oh, is it the guy who got killed?
Related. No, the other guy.
So it's Michael Raymond James.
Sure.
Who is awesome generally, must be said.
Right. He's the hothead of the group.
Yes.
He and Lorenz Tate, whatever his character's name is, they run sort of a construction company or something, but you can tell they're a little bit of
shady.
Bad guys. They're a little shady. And this other guy, who was the brother on Friday Night Lights, was he not?
Yes, I believe he's in Friday Night Lights.
Tim Riggins' brother on Friday Night Lights. He was the 4th friend, and he sort of lived a normal life and had a wife, and his wife was
about to
pregnant.
have a baby.
And then one day he totally flips out on some random guy, we think he's random, on the street and beats him over the head with a golf club, as one tends to do. Right?
Well, he was a mover, so that's a very stressful job. But as it turns out, it was a former inmate at the
juvie
that was involved in all sorts of shenanigans. There's apparently a whole bunch of shenanigans going on at the prison, illegal,
with the warden,
sexual,
fighting,
criminal,
sexual,
cage fighting
with the kids.
Really,
yes.
I'm sorry.
So I think the whole premise of the show is like these
guys.
Sleepers.
I'm sorry, it's Sleepers, the movie.
I've never seen Sleepers.
That's what it is.
Okay, well,
this is actually based on a Turkish miniseries that was quite amazing, and I was trying to figure out whether the Turkish TV series was based on Sleepers, and I couldn't get anybody to confirm that.
Yeah, I think that Dan Feinberg over at HitFix mentioned the same thing, that it was like sleepers, because I read a review. I wanted to make sure that my opinion was on point because I was like, this show is terrible. I think I actually tweeted you while I was watching, asking if I had to watch more than one.
Yeah, and I was watching it at like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Here's the reason why the show is not good. Let's actually give a reason. Because it's supposed to be like this mystery, and like we don't really know, like we don't know specifics about who these shady people are in the present day. We get that they have something to do with the prison in the past. So there's the one African American guy who works for the warden who's now running for Congress.
Yes.
Is he the young...
I know exactly what you're talking about, because they showed a young African American kid who was like, you know, overseeing some brutalization going on.
Right.
And then the next shot you see is an older guy, and it's like, oh, I guess that's supposed to be him. But it wasn't very clear.
And then my question is, 25 years later... they're still trying to seek revenge. Like, you couldn't get revenge prior to that. It just seems so weird. Like, I don't really care. And then we find out at the...
I'm sorry, not revenge. Justice! Sorry. That's what they said.
We find out at the end of the episode that the main character, played by David Lyons, and Jessie, who is the girlfriend...
but actually now the girlfriend of
the brother,
Michael Raymond James. Yes.
Correct. We find out that they like killed someone.
Yeah, back when they were like 20 or something.
Right. Which
so
is
there's like
after
another
the
layer of
luck
craziness.
This onion has too many layers for me to
Secrets
peel.
and lies. Anybody?
Okay. The difference with Secrets and Lies is that
you watched the entire season. And you're not
only
going to
did
do
I
that
watch
here.
the entire season, but it was at least entertaining enough. Like the ridiculousness of it that I continue to watch. Whereas this one, I'm just like, meh, I don't need to watch this. I could have been watching
I think
Chicago
because
Fire.
you have to pay too much attention and there's not enough payoff.
That is correct.
Whereas
because
Secrets
you
and
missed
Lies,
the
you
whole
can sort of
brother
like,
thing.
I did.
You did.
I'm so embarrassed.
So the ratings for Game of Silence, 1.5 in the demo, and then 5.
We'll see on Thursday in its regular time slot.
It is regular when it's going to be up against either Scandal or The Catch. Which I'm already behind on, by the way.
I'm half an episode behind too, but I'm still liking it.
Okay. So another show that Vicki kind of still likes, and that we talk about often here, but I've never actually watched. Oh, we totally had a clip from Game of Silence, but we will spare you. Don't watch
Silence.
it. So, moment of silence for Game of Silence, please.
Okay.
All right. So another show that Vicki watches that I'd never watched before, but she challenged me to watch the pilot last week, is The Walking Dead, which I keep wanting to call Game of Thrones.
Like, I don't know why. I really don't have that much in common.
Every single time I bring it up to Vicki, I say Game of Thrones, which, by the way, is a show I've seen every episode of. It's not like that's a show I don't watch.
Well, it's a show that everybody talks about,
Yes.
just like Game of Thrones.
Correct. So The Walking Dead, it's just ended its 6th season a couple weeks ago. Now we're on Fear the Walking Dead Season 2. I'd never watched it before because if you listen to this podcast, you know that I don't like scary things. And I thought it was a scary thing kind of show. But it's really not. It's just zombies.
It's just zombies, and they don't move very fast. I mean, there are a few jump scares throughout, but like usually you see them coming
because they move very slowly.
Don't move that fast.
They're zombies. So I will say that I watched the pilot, and I tweeted Vicki immediately and said, "All right, I think I'm good. 1 episode done."
And I was like, "That's all I want. That's all I wanted."
Then 15 minutes later, I tweeted Vicki, all right, I'm going to watch 2. I'm going to watch 2 episodes, maybe 3, then I'm done.
And how many did you watch?
I watched all of season 1, which is 6 episodes, and I'm on season 2.
And I actually told her, you can stop now. Stop now.
Right.
Just enjoy it while you can.
I can see how season 2 is a little slow. It's a little slow. I mean, it's not... It doesn't move as fast. There aren't a lot of... I mean, there's some action, you know, but there are very specific things happening.
They're stuck in the farm trying to find Sophia.
Right. Who I don't care about, by the way. Let's mention that. I don't care about her yet. Vicki tells me I will.
No, I don't say you're necessarily going to care about her. I just say that the finale is really good. The finale of season 2 is very good.
Okay. All right. So there's that. We haven't seen that many zombies.
And quite frankly, season 2 might have been one of those split in two, and it might have been like the finale to like the mid-season. I can't remember.
So maybe episode 6 or 7 will be because they're 13.
Maybe. I'll look it up and get back to you because I can't remember which one.
But I'm going to
keep like 5 years ago.
I think I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
I'll catch up with the rest of the world by the time it premieres.
And then you can get very, very aggravated by the 6th season, like the rest of us.
Like everyone. So I will commiserate with you all. But The Walking Dead is in. Now, do you have any other shows that you like me to catch up on?
Catastrophe?
No, that doesn't count because it has to be a show that I haven't seen any of. Like, I started Shameless. Mm-hmm. I did Catastrophe. I've done The Walking Dead. My friend Allison, shout out to Allison in LA, asked me to watch the Tyler Henry show on E!
Oh my God. I saw like 10 minutes of that and I was like, I cannot even.
I watched it, I'm over it.
So are we talking about shows that Erin needs to watch so she can talk to other human beings about pop culture?
Excuse me. I think I'm way more on the level of a normal human being when it comes to
Did you watch Breaking Bad?
Yes, I watched all of season 1 and I thought it was terrible.
Oh my God, watch the rest of it, please.
No.
God, watch the rest of it.
Look, my DVR is full. I don't have time to stick with a show I'm just not that into. And I was not into Breaking Bad. You know why? Because I watched The Wire. Have you watched The Wire?
Of course I watched The Wire. It was our first TV watching club show to watch.
Okay.
So we watched it. We analyzed it. We were there.
Well, after watching The Wire, I have no need to watch another show about drugs.
And then we watched Breaking Bad.
No. Have you seen Weeds?
I actually watched like 4 seasons of Weeds, and then I finally gave up on it because that is a show that really needed to be put out of its misery.
When the dead guy was in the pool, when the sun hit the drug lord or whatever it was, I was out then.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you think of something, let me know.
Did Jeffrey D. Morgan show up on Weeds?
Yes.
No, he was the husband, right?
Yeah.
Who died? Yeah.
Love Jeffrey D. Morgan.
I know you do. That's why I brought it up.
If you have any ideas for shows that I should watch, tweet us at TV Hangover Show at E_meds or tweet Vicki at Vicki Hy, VICKIHY, and she'll let me know. All right. So the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt makes its triumphant return to Netflix on Friday for season 2. And it's a show where it was picked up by NBC. They shot half the season, and then NBC decided,
too weird. A little too weird for us.
Not going to work. And then it moved to...
They sold it to Netflix.
And then they shot the rest of that season. I watched season 1. I thought it was funny. I thought it was quirky. I thought it could have worked on NBC. But probably was better off for being on Netflix, and I think you agree.
I do agree. It reminded me of a show called Better Off Ted. Do you remember that one?
Kind of.
I think it lasted 1 season. It's the same kind of like very quirky, did they actually go there kind of humor. But I thought actually, I liked it at first. I was actually a little disappointed by the first few episodes because I'm like, okay, this is funny, but it's like, where's this going kind of thing.
Right.
And then they sort of built it. And then the whole second half of the season was really, in case you don't know, Kimmy Schmidt was like held in an underground bunker with several other women
by John Hamm.
By John Hamm, like Wayne, I don't even remember his name on the show. And then the second half of the season is about him being prosecuted finally, and how because he's John Hamm, he wins over the judge, the jury, the Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden-esque, played by Tina Fey, prosecutors. And I just felt like that was really just sustained, and it was great. And so I'm excited about season 2 coming up, even though it looks like, they're sort of starting over again.
News story, like
I mean, from what I can tell, I haven't seen them yet, but like at the end of the first season, she had a sort of boyfriend, Dong, who she was supposed to marry so he could stay in the country, and then he married an old lady, and I haven't seen any evidence of him in the second season so far.
Have you watched the second season?
No.
Oh, just the
just the trailer.
Got it, just the trailer. So this gave us the idea of some other shows that would be better off if they weren't on your standard broadcast networks like an NBC, a CBS, those networks, if they were on either Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime.
Or even AMC. Or
even AMC, right. I have my contender, which I mentioned earlier, and that is Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Would it really be better? I mean, it would be shorter, and then we both agree it would have been better shorter.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be an hour. I do think it would be better because I think they could be a little more extreme in some of the Josh Chan stuff, whereas I think there's a lot of retread because there is only so much you can do on the CW, which if you're talking about limiting...
There could have been some fun sex stuff a la Catastrophe.
Yes, if it was on like
a little more explicit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that.
What show do you think would be better if it was on a...
Well, you're going to love this one.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. I was like thinking about what shows would work better, and I think as a genre... networks do not do sci-fi well, or they haven't done sci-fi well. You know, there was Lost, you know, back in 2007, I think, which was, you know, very risky, very different, and it spawned a whole bunch of successors, which never really went anywhere. And I don't want to say that I'm making a distinction between, like, cable is quality and network is not.
Although she does make that distinction sometimes.
Sometimes I do. But what I'm talking about here is that, like, cable is risky and network is not. And I think sci-fi requires you to take more risks and assume that your audience is going to go along with you more. And I think networks tend to dumb it down, or they make it so crazy convoluted because they want to make sure they can spin it past however many seasons.
Right. I was going to say, I think there are a few issues with shows being on networks. Number one, advertisers. They rely on those advertiser dollars, so there are only certain things that they can do.
And they have to do 22 episodes.
That was going to be my number two.
It's like Quantico, where it's like you should not make it 22 episodes. No, we're not going to Quantico.
But wait.
No, I didn't. I'm not watching it anymore.
Tangent. Remember how I told you last week that there is in the trailer for this, or the teaser for this week, it shows Alex walking up to a car, and then you thought it was Natalie? I thought it was Natalie, who we thought died in the explosion. It wasn't Natalie,
but
it was Shelby. Is that her name?
Yeah, but Shelby's not dead.
Right, but we didn't know that Shelby is potentially either the criminal mastermind or working with the criminal mastermind. And she had some blunt bangs, and you know bangs always equal criminal masterminds.
Evil. Or wigs. Like or Marsha Cross from Desperate House. Not Desperate House, Melrose Place.
Melrose Place. Although I will still stick with my theory that Marsha Cross on Quantico is the bad guy. All right, tangent over.
But okay, so there were many sci-fi possibilities that I thought could have been better on a cable network, and I was thinking about, you know, I kind of like the whole concept of Alcatraz. I don't know if you remember that one.
I love that show. And then every week you'd follow a different prisoner
who you know popped up after however many years after Alcatraz closed.
Right.
So, you know, Terra Nova, which was the dinosaurs, they got sent back in time to the dinosaur world. I thought it had potential. It was not very good. But the one I picked was Revolution, starring your favorite David Lyons. Revolution was about, like, what happened to the world after the electricity suddenly went out.
The power went out.
Yeah, which is actually kind of like Into the Badlands.
And you know who else was on that, speaking of sci-fi? The lady from Lost.
Elizabeth Mitchell?
Yes, Elizabeth Mitchell.
Is that her name?
Yes.
Okay.
I loved Revolution. I watched it. I believe it was on for two seasons. And I watched both seasons. Never knew what the heck happened. They started, like, making up stuff as they went along, and I was kind of confused. But I thought it was a good show. But I do think it would have been better had it been on a Netflix or... like an AMC.
It needed to be a little bit grittier than it was.
Maybe like a TNT.
It was like a little too clean and like stage managed. I just think it needed to be a little nastier and grittier, and that might have kept it going after 2 seasons at least.
Yeah, I agree. I thought Revolution was a great show, and if it was on, I'd still be watching it.
Okay.
We had an in-studio emergency here with producer Alyssa is choking. Hopefully she is okay. But in the meantime, Vicki, yes? I think I'm going to have to break up
with... Pull the Band-Aid off. Say it. Supernatural?
No, I don't watch Supernatural. I did break up with the Vampire Diaries this season, as I mentioned earlier. No, I think I may have to break up with the Bad Girls Club. She's
I
gonna
have
drop
no
that
comment
mic.
because I have never watched. Oh no, I did. You guys were talking about an episode a couple of weeks ago.
Yes.
Where the two women show up at the house and they don't get really further than the
And they
front
just
door.
beat them
and
up?
I had to watch that particular scene, and it was kind of amazing.
And you loved it.
But I don't want to watch the show.
No,
I don't want to watch the show.
So just quickly, the thing that happened on last night's episode is the young woman who thought she had stage 3
Yes, you mentioned
ovarian
that.
cancer because she Googled it, also admitted on this season of Sisters that the young woman she came into the house with was not, in fact, her sister, but her ex-girlfriend, and they've been lying the whole time.
To
To everyone.
Everybody?
Everyone. Producers, housemates, everyone. They
They're
came
not
in,
sisters, they're ex-girlfriends.
They're ex-girlfriends. And this would explain why in the first 3 or 4 episodes of the season...
were kissing?
They were, yes.
Ugh.
Grinding on one another in the club, like dancing, very sexually explicit.
Although, if they're not sisters, I guess that's fine.
No, that's fine now.
It's fine now.
But it left a lot of questions for the audience. So I don't know how much of this nonsense I can take.
Is
It's
it an
a little
hour?
ridiculous. It's an hour.
Oh, God. You got
on
better things to do
Oxygen.
with your time.
I do have better things to do with my time, and I just may do them. So that's going to do it for this episode of TV Hangover.
Very fast this week.
It was
Yeah.
speedy. Don't forget to tweet us at TV Hangover Show. Subscribe and review us on iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn. We are everywhere you are, and now we're on Facebook Live as well. We will be back next week, talk about more TV, and if you have any things you'd like us to discuss, please reach out. Until next time.